What's up, y'all? It's Lost time. Episode 4, Eggtown, just aired last night, and I've got to tell you, holy moly, got it on the TV right now. You know, I would have talked about this yesterday, but I slept for 14 hours. I'll have that whole story in my next vlog, I guess. You know, it's funny, I was reading on the fuselage, a lot of people don't seem to like this episode too much. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it was entertaining, you know, there was a lot of weird inconsistencies and stuff, but obviously it seems like Claire and Hurley are totally not affected by Charlie's death at all now. He's really only been mentioned like that one time in the first episode, and after that there's really been no real acknowledgement of it, so I don't know, that's kind of sad, but what are you going to do? Anyway, it seems like this episode has opened up so many possibilities that I don't even know where to go. It did answer a lot of questions, though. Like, I mean, now we know who it is that Kate had to get back to in the season 3 finale, so we know she said he would be waiting for me. So we presume now she's talking about, spoiler alert, Aaron. And well, if you haven't seen the episode, you got no business watching this video, I'll tell you that right now. But I guess I could have said that at the beginning, right? Anyway, I don't want to have to spend forever editing this thing, so try to keep it brief. I've just been it's hard to talk about Lost when you've been watching The Simpsons for the last 4 hours. And I did put it on, but I still have The Simpsons on the brain, so I don't know, man. The conversation that Sun and Jin had about the baby, when she said, I'd like to raise my baby in Korea, and Jin said, no, our baby. I think she just kind of blurred that out by accident, but you would think, you know, after that emotional scene where she's like, oh, it's Jin's, yay, you know. You think at that point it was pretty much confirmation that the baby was in fact Jin's baby, so. But the fact that she said my baby, I think was just a slip-up, maybe a Freudian slip, because she still remembers about how she had an affair and all that stuff. But this isn't really a Sun Jin episode, though. That's coming on. I think that's the 7th episode, is Sun and Jin. But, spoiler. No, I don't think that spoils anything, really. Because eventually it's going to happen anyway. I thought it was funny how Juliet made the 911 joke, and then Jack was just like, oh. He gives her this dirty look. It's like, dude, please, you gotta have a sense of humor at times like these. I mean, who would have ever thought Juliet would be the one making jokes and Jack be... Well, I don't know, though. That's not that much of a surprise, but... You know, throughout the episode, they kept talking in the flash-forwards about Kate serving a certain amount of time. And when you talk about time, instantly you're thinking about the island. So what I was thinking was, like, what if the time that they're talking about is the time that she spends on the island? Like, maybe the island is like jail. Or it's like when they say she needs to do 4 years, what they're talking about is 4 years on the island. Or something, but... I know that's not really what it is, but that's just what I kept thinking. But obviously that wouldn't make any sense because, well, because she would have already done the time before they were deciding how much time to give her, so that wouldn't make any sense, but still, it'd be kind of funny. By the way, crackpot theory that I haven't mentioned in a video yet, I don't think I've mentioned it. I think Born to Run is a flash forward, but I haven't gone back and watched it since I came up with that theory, so I think I need to do that and kind of have a second look. But I think right now, more than anything else, people are talking about Raised by Another, the Claire episode where she saw his sidekick and he basically told her, he basically paid her money, you know, to go give the baby to this couple in LA. And people are saying now that that maybe the couple he was referring to is Jack and Kate in the future. And that sounds pretty exciting. Because if he already knew she was going to the island, he probably already knew what was happening after she got off of it again, if indeed she did. Which is not looking like she did, because Kate has the baby, so what's up with that? Hell if I know. Oh my god. Why would she wouldn't willingly give the baby to Kate, would she? I mean, we're basically looking at, okay, Kate and Hurley are not on Locke's good side right now. So probably in the next episode, or the next day or whatever, Kate and Hurley will be taking off, and that might end up being how they are part of the Oceanic Six, since we know that they are. Well, then that explains it. Of course, I really don't see why Kate had to stay with Locke in the first place. This is another one of those inconsistencies. Well, not so much an inconsistency as a contrivance, as they call it. I mean, there was really no reason for her to be there other than the whole Miles thing, and he could have, you know, there's other ways that could have played out, besides Kate being there to ask that silly question of whether or not he knew who she was. She could have asked that any time while they were walking around, you know. But anyway, back to the whole Raised by Another thing. One of the things that the psychic says to Claire is, he says they're not strangers. When he's talking about the people in LA, he says they're not strangers, they're good people. But it's weird that he would say they're not strangers. Usually at the beginning of an episode, they show the eye of the person whom that episode is about. Like if it's a Saeed-centric episode, they show Saeed's eye at the beginning. You know, in a Claire episode, they show Claire's eye. This episode was a Kate-centric episode, but they showed Locke's eye. It's the first time they've ever done that. Could it be that there's a connection between Kate and Locke that we don't know about yet? Well, I sure don't know. She's the one that's got Aaron. And there seems to be a connection between Locke and Aaron, too. I don't know. You know, someone actually said Aaron was being built up to be like the anti-Walt. Oh, that could be strange. Maybe that's why they need to send people to the island, is to slow down their aging so they can get to a certain point where they're ready for something, and then they can come back to the real world and do it, or vice versa. Hell if I know, man. I think we're about to get a lot of clues about that on the next episode, but who knows. There's a screenshot, actually, of Aaron's room. I'm going to put it in right here. You'll notice there's a 7 of spades on the wall. Actually, in a picture on the wall. So I'll put it right here. Sometimes when they do tarot readings, T-A-R-O-T, I don't know how that word is pronounced. Sometimes they use a regular deck of cards when they're doing those. And the 7 of spades just so happens to represent, drum roll, it represents theft, like stealing. How perfect is that? Is that a clue that maybe Kate really did steal Aaron? Because I'm pretty damn sure that Claire wouldn't willingly give him over. Or maybe she thought the baby would be in danger with Locke. But then why would she stay with him, you know, or did she? And then we still have this whole thing with Desmond saying that he saw Claire and Aaron getting on a helicopter and flying away. I mean, Charlie died for this, you know, it's like it's got to happen. And there's no telling when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. But I think we have to start looking at the possibility that maybe these people getting off of the island, that it's not the freighter that gets them off. Maybe it's somehow some other way that they get off. Because, I don't know, I mean, we're 4 episodes in, we've not seen the freighter at all. We don't even know if the freighter exists as far as that goes. Except, well, where would the helicopter have come from? As far as the whole Miles with the grenade in his mouth, well, that was pretty cool. I couldn't help but be reminded of Percy in the Green Mile when they shove the cloth in his mouth and put tape over it and throw him into the room. It's like the exact same camera angle, but it's inverted on his face. He looks exactly the same. So, I don't know, dude. Some pretty crazy stuff. We have seen a little bit more of, like, the story that the Oceanic Six are telling to the rest of the world, which the story is basically that 8 people survived the plane crash, and the 2 of them died. It's hard to hear that in the episode, but he says that Kate tried to rescue the other 2, and then he gets interrupted. But so basically the story is that 8 people survived, 2 people died, and the other 6 were eventually rescued. But the question, and I said this in Anakin 1814's comments, so it's, yeah, I feel like I'm almost repeating myself or being redundant or something, but but the question is, if they are being asked to lie and tell a separate story or a fake story about the plane crash, why would they need to say that 2 people died? Like, would that be... I can see them saying that to make the story sound more realistic because there are more details, and the more detail you remember, the more likely it is that you're telling the truth, or one of those psychological things. But I'm thinking, if they got off of the island, they must have had 2 bodies with them, and there would have to be an explanation for why those 2 people were dead. So maybe Naomi is one of the bodies, because they're obviously bringing her back. There is one person who knows that Naomi wasn't on the plane. That would be Mr. Matthew Abaddon. Guess what? Now I'm talking about him and everybody else isn't. How ironic is that? But that's cool, though. I'm just loving all the discussion we got going on about this. It's crazy. Crazy. It's insane. It's weird. It's unbelievable. It's over. Oh man, that was a fart.